Hi, I'm Marie Lipinski. I'm the curator of the Nieman Foundation for Journalism, and I'm really, really happy to welcome you all to Harvard and to the Walter Lippmann House, where our fellows and the Nieman staff are every day. Um, and this is the 13th annual Georges Conference, which we're so excited to be a part of. It's our two-day training workshop for college journalists, and it's really become, I have to say, I say it every year, but it's true, one of our favorite absolute weekends of the year. The conference is a tribute to journalist Christopher Georges. You may have seen his photo in what we call the Georges Room, right outside of this room. Chris was a magna cum laude graduate of Harvard, and he also served as executive editor of the Harvard Crimson. After graduating, he worked at the New York Times, at CNN, at Washington Monthly, before going on to a really, really bright career at the Wall Street Journal, working in the Washington Bureau for them. Chris had many special gifts, but one that people who knew him well and his colleagues often refer to is this special gift for covering the human side, the human impact of public policy. It distinguished his work, and I think it's something we can all still learn from. After battling lupus, Chris died in 1998. He was only 33. And we are so deeply indebted to his family for creating and endowing, generously endowing this conference in Chris's memory and in the memory of his work. And they're here with us tonight, which is always really a treat. So Chris's mother and father, Mary and Jerry Georges, Chris's sister, two sisters actually, Gigi Georges, who is also on the Nieman Advisory Board and really a great, great colleague to us here at Nieman, and Chris's sister Stephanie Comfort and her daughter Katie. Could you all please join me in welcoming and thanking them? I was just saying to Gigi how really warm and kind her parents are. And I never had the honor or pleasure of meeting Chris, but I know from being with his family this time every year that if he was anything like them, he was a spectacularly warm man. Along with the Georges family, the Nieman Foundation is happy to work on this conference each year in partnership with the Harvard Crimson. So thank you to Crimson President Derek Chow. Derek, where are you? There you are. Hi. And to you and to your newsroom colleagues for all of the work that you do in helping to recruit speakers and finding places for people to sleep and opening up the Crimson offices to the participants. We're really grateful for that. And I also want to thank Ms. Beckett, who you'll hear from in a bit, senior reporter for The Guardian US, who will be speaking with us later tonight about her path-breaking work. And she's also an alum of the Crimson. So hopefully this feels a little bit like old home week for you. And I'm also very grateful to the Nieman staff who works very hard on this conference every year, and to the Nieman Fellows, who some of whom you will meet tonight and tomorrow. They'll be sharing some wisdom with you at various sessions. As the weekend progresses, we really encourage you to ask a lot of questions, to be really engaged with the speakers. This is not something where you should just sit back and listen. We try to have as many of you as we can, but also keep it intimate enough that you can really engage with each other and with staff and other speakers. And for those who can't be here, please tweet out whatever strikes your fancy under the hashtag Georges18. Some of you have already started doing that. We followed your train rides in, and so continue to do that over the weekend. We'll also be videotaping the sessions, and we'll later post that to the conference website to share, so you can share it with your colleagues who were not able to be here. We are especially excited to welcome 2 new schools to the Georges Conference, the fruits of our ongoing efforts to expand our outreach, in part by adding regional diversity to this workshop that began predominantly as a with a New England focus. We're very proud of the work that happens here every year in Chris's name, and we're very eager to share it with a broader audience of student journalists. So we welcome for the first time editors from the independent Florida Alligator at the University of Florida, the coolest newspaper name, and also journalists from the Scarlet, which is the newspaper of Clark University. Welcome to you all. And permit me a special welcome to the editors of the Michigan Daily at the University of Michigan, which is my alma mater. And I say that not just to call them out, although go blue, but really to say that I would not be standing here. I would not be in this work. I would not have any job that I've ever had without the experience that I was fortunate to have at 420 Maynard Street, Ann Arbor, Michigan, which is the longtime spectacular home of the Michigan Daily. And I know that those experiences are replicated, across college newsrooms in this country. Many of you have had them and share them too, but it is the place where I learned my first and still many of the most important lessons I've ever learned about journalism. I'm so fortunate to have had the privilege of apprenticing at the thing that I really wanted to do with my life. And even for those of you who, like some of my Daily colleagues, don't want to pursue journalism as a career path, the discipline required of you to do what you do, that I know is required of me to do what I did in college, just, will yield lessons and life lessons and skills that are character building, really, I think, beyond any college experience I can imagine. I know what you do isn't easy, and that some of you have endured the criticisms and maybe even constraints of your college administrators. Just yesterday, I was reading about the Minnesota Daily website run by journalism students at the University of Minnesota. They published, I thought, a very thoughtful, tragic story about a student's death from alcohol poisoning. Neither the family of the young man nor some university officials wanted the story published, and they made that known to the newspaper. But I thought the sensitivity with which the Minnesota Daily journalists shared that news, as well as how they reported and wrote the story of the young man's death, reminded me that your work is every bit as complex and as important as that of the professional journalists you'll hear from this weekend. So thank you for what you do. One reader wrote in response to coverage of the Daily's decision, the student journalists did a fantastic job walking a very difficult line. They brought light to an issue that continues to plague university students. And if administrators don't think that's important, I'm not sure why they think you're in college. You're doing this work in important and challenging times. The complicated issues facing the nation and journalism are surely evident on your campuses. The new administration refers to us as the opposition, an enemy of the people. But I don't take that bait, and neither should you. If anything, we rededicate ourselves to the work ahead, inspired by Chris George's and the legacy that Nieman and his family join in celebrating this weekend. And as so many in the nation now look toward the students of Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, where my young nephew recently graduated from, and which we'll hear probably some about in our talk this evening, as we look to them to help chart a new path for gun laws, we look to you, the next generation of journalists, to chart new paths that improve and safeguard this important work we do. So we hope your time with us and each other this weekend fortifies you for the challenges, excites you for the possibilities, and we are so, so glad you're here.